Hey guys, Sugar Rabbit John coming at you with another Diablo Immortal video. This one, I want to go ahead and cover how to speed farm Mad King's Breach. The reason why we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover this is one, because right now we are transitioning from Hell 4 to Hell 5 and the current situation in Diablo Immortal. If you're watching this at a future date, this will also help you understand how to better farm all these dungeons quicker, faster, as well as the combinations that can be used and how you can kind of get into the higher tier Hell sections without having to necessarily meet every single one of the requirements. Okay, so first let's go ahead and let's talk about a couple of things. So you will see here that my character is currently under level compared to what we were about to show. So I am currently in Hell 5 area. For those of you who are unaware, Hell 5 requires that you be level 240 to 600. This is going to be probably the longest Hell section that we've had so far in the game. You can even see where there's not even a disclaimer as far as Hell 6 is concerned yet. Now, with that being said, we are starting to farm and get ready to go ahead and upgrade and go into the next Hell tier. And you can see that because Server Paragon currently, I am still below. Server Paragon is 232. I'm 226. So that means I am 6 levels below Server Paragon currently. This also means that I am a little bit below on my combat rating. My combat rating is 4,820 at the current moment. The target goal for farming this type of content moving forward is actually 5,000 to move into Hell 5. So this is where we're going to talk about how, one, you can get into the higher tier dungeons and survive, or at least be able to be formidable and make good decisions to where you can make fast runs and not necessarily hurt the rest of the team. As well as for those of you who want to know, okay, how do I maximize what I'm currently doing in farming for each dungeon? So first things first, let's talk about the overall grand scheme of things. So what aspects go into speed farming dungeons? One of the biggest aspects that's going to go into this is you're going to have to maintain and make sure you realize that there's going to be, we won't call them limits, but we will call them advantages to running with other players of different classes, we'll call it. Now, there's two reasons why we say this. One, for example, I'm going to be showcasing running this with 2 barbarians and 1 crusader. Now, you may ask, why would I be showcasing that? Why do I care about this? Well, because when we go over here to Brandon, he is a barbarian. He is literally just above the minimum requirement of 5,000, so he can run this no problem with very minimal effort. And because he is a barbarian, he can get a few other abilities that help, right? So we have this skill, which also buffs us basically, right? So Demoralize releases a ferocious shout that forces nearby monsters to attack you. So now he becomes the tank, right? He tanks all the damage. Damage to all nearby enemies and reduce their damage done by 30%. So this allows lower players to then take less damage, right? So that definitely helps. On top of that, he also has another, because of his legendary pieces of gear, he can also buff our attack. So he can then buff the attack as well as we can run faster with another skill. So this allows us to move forward very quickly, which then synergizes well for someone who is below on the requirements like myself when running these speed farming guides. Now, the other one that I want to go ahead and I'm going to pull up here is going to be our other player, which was Toxin. Maybe I can't pull him up now that I think about it, but basically he was a Crusader, and we all know Crusader has a banner. So now we have 2 barbarians who have the same skills. Those 2 skills allow us to actually do a lot more damage because they boost our primary damage, as well as Toxin, who then uses his banner for us, right? Which then we all know makes you crit every attack. So then you can kind of go in there and you can melt your opponent, which in this case is going to be Mad King's Breach, and really go super quick. Now, there's going to be a few other things we're going to talk about in the middle of this video so that way you understand, okay, well, at what point should you be using skills? What point should you be using abilities? I'll go ahead and I'll critique our run as well, kind of showcasing a little bit more like the finer points on like, okay, this is how you should really be utilizing this properly. But I will have the timer going. I'm going to have everything else going for you so that way you guys can see it firsthand right here in the video and understand exactly what we did So that way you yourself can do these runs, and maybe these runs will be a lot faster than what you're doing now. And this will help you kind of build your own team to really run Mad King's Breach faster, as well as all the other dungeons. Okay, so first things first, before we go ahead and we pull up the footage that we're going to talk about here, let's go ahead and talk about one other thing that's going to go along with this. And that is going to be the fact that you also need to watch what Paragon Tree you're using. Now, in this particular instance, every single one of us was using the Mastermind Paragon Tree. The reason why we were using this is because of the synergy, as we're going to have 3 different classes that are in this run. I am the DPS as a Demon Hunter. We have 3 supports, and out of those 3 supports, 2 of them are different. Now, one other thing to note is you could drop 1 Barbarian and pick up a Monk, which then you better utilize Mastermind, as well as it would help you speed up runs just a little bit, but I do think being 2 Barbs, it worked out very well. Now, things to note here is 1 is mutual defense. All party members within 5 yards of you gain 3% additional damage reduction. Now, that's very helpful because, once again, you are reducing the amount of damage because you're punching up to a higher health tier. The next thing we're going to talk about is going to be covert operations. Increases your critical hit chance by 2.5% for each different class present in your party, which is 3 different classes. So this allows the DPS, which in this case is the Demon Hunter for myself, allows me to have more crit rate, because you need that crit rate so that way you can really do more damage. Because the whole key to this is, by boosting everyone's damage with the support, you can have the one main damage dealer, in this case me, which I'm actually under leveled, right? Allows me to do a lot more damage and punch up to knock out the opponents. Makes things a lot easier. Now, you also have this coordinated assault. All party members within 5 yards of you gain 3% increased skill damage, while your party has members from 4 different classes. This is not cumulative from multiple sources. Now, this one, it doesn't matter if everyone's running Mastermind or not. However, this is when you have basically everyone's diverse here, you get a little bit more damage. And that's what we're talking about here. And that's why we're running Mastermind. Do you have to run Mastermind? No, you do not. You can run whichever one you'd like. In this case, I think Mastermind is going to be the best one for you to run for these speed runs. Now let's go ahead and hop over to the speed run, and we're going to talk through it. All right, so now we are going to go ahead and we are going to fire up Mad King's Breach, and I'm going to talk through this run real quick for you, so that way you know exactly what you're looking for. You're going to notice that I do have the timer going on in the bottom right here, so that way you know exactly when I start the timer. Basically, as soon as you see that cutscene, what we're going to do is we're going to go rush forward, and this is kind of how a lot of these are going to go. Is you're going to rush forward till you get to a certain stopping point, turn around, and start killing the enemies. For Mad King's Breach, you need to kill these certain mobs that spawn right in this general area that we were at. You will see in the upper right hand corner that the boss is spawning. Notice that we now have a buff put down by this Crusader, which is Banner. And at this point, we've had Demoralize put down by our Barbarians, which then boost our damage as well. So this allows us to do a lot more damage and punch that boss through very quickly. You'll see within 35 seconds or so, we are through that first boss. Now, unfortunately, it takes longer for cutscenes than it does really anything. Now, you're also going to notice that we go straight to the end of the hallway. The boss is going to be right behind us right now. Once again, we got to kill these 4 phantoms, and then once we kill the phantoms and they die, that then pops out the boss. You will see that we do this pretty quickly, and then as soon as this last one goes down right here, right here, and then we go ahead and we pop back over here. Now, one thing that I do want to note is I did waste my vengeance, unfortunately, a little early. However, it doesn't matter too awful much because I get it back here in just a second. You'll see it get popped off, and with Banner, you notice the amount of damage that we did as soon as I had my vengeance. So I was still able to punch through and get a lot of damage done. Now we're gonna go into the throne room. This is gonna be the last area. This one gets a little time consuming because we have to go up the stairs. And as we're going up the stairs that we are going ahead and progressing, you'll see that I'm trying to stay close to the team here because the Barbarians actually give me a boost on attack and speed. And with that being said, it makes it where I'm under leveled and gives me that little extra damage boost here to knock this out as fast as humanly possible, right? So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go up here. We're on pretty good time so far. We're about 2 minutes into a Mad King's run. This is on Hell 5, and this is with me actually as the main DPS and under leveled. So imagine if you were a higher DPS and you could attack a little bit faster, a little bit harder than I can right now, right? So we're gonna stomp through this, no problem whatsoever. Notice that we're using our abilities like Vengeance and like the Banner and the Demoralize in certain locations where we kind of group up together. We're doing this so that way it allows the whole team, the whole squad, to do mass damage very fast. So notice you just saw that the double rings just went around here. That is because at this point everyone has popped a beneficial effect, because we want to go ahead and put everything on cooldown right before the boss comes, so that way everything's off of cooldown when we can run this. So now we have the boss here, and we'll go ahead and one of the barbarians is going to use demoralize for us, and then we're going to go ahead and attack the boss here. We're going to put him into his first cycle. You'll notice that once he hits that first cycle right there, he does not take damage. Then you will see a banner come out. You'll see my vengeance pop and another demoralize, and just like that, the boss is down. We have completed a Mad King's Breach run in about 3 minutes, and this is on hell 5 with me under level. That's about par the course. Anywhere between 250 to 3 minutes is average for these types of runs, and it really makes a big difference in what you're trying to achieve when you're trying to speedrun these dungeons. All right, and just like that, we have gone ahead and completed the Mad King's Breach run. That's going to be the fast tutorial guide for that. Like I said here, these will vary each and every time. However, I do want to go ahead and we're going to cover every single one of these dungeons, so that way you know exactly what to do and how quickly you can do it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave comments down below. But like I said, the things to talk about for this run is, one thing is just synergy, synergizing within your teammates, making sure you have a minimum 2 supports is a massive key. I have tried this with 2 DPS, 2 supports. It does not work as well. 2 Crusaders is pretty good as well, but I definitely recommend bringing in at least a Barbarian or a Monk with a Crusader and a main DPS, because it really is night and day different as far as the amount of the damage you can actually perform, to make sure that these runs go super fast. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.